Morning, guys. I make these videos because I'm on a journey myself. I'm learning every day how to become a better version of myself. What I won't do is blame my problems and shortcomings on anyone else. But with feminists, however, playing the blame game is their modus operandi. Now, I got an article that's pretty interesting here. Let's check it out. It says 30 ways women still aren't equal to men. If anyone tries to tell you otherwise, show them these statistics. Now, it says there's 30 of them, but I promise you I won't go through them all. That'd be a waste of time because most of them are repetitive. But let's check out a few of them. First one I got is the pink tax. Isn't just for personal care items. Although things like razors, shampoos are the most egregiously upcharged items, the so-called pink tax meant that all kinds of items geared at women cost more. Toys and accessories for girls are 7% higher. Women pay more for clothing and protective gear. They even pay more for senior health care products, meaning they pay more for common items from the beginning to the end of their lives. Now, this is a pretty common excuse, the pink tax. But what they fail to mention is that women use a lot more useless products than men. I mean, men go out and buy soap. Women buy moisturizing body wash cream with aloe. The next one says, workplace sexual harassment is so common that it directly contributes to the wage gap. Workplace sexual harassment and assault is so common that it's driving women en masse to resign from their jobs. Reporting such abuse is often unattractive for women due to retaliation and lack of consequences for abusers. Thus, victims feel that in order to prioritize their safety, they must face unemployment, job insecurity, and pay cuts, not to mention the financial sacrifice they make by giving up equity and the potential for upward mobility once they leave their companies. Now, I just can't believe this. They're saying that sexual harassment is so bad that women are resigning in masses. Now, that would be front page news, wouldn't it? Every news outlet in the world was spending hours talking about this. Or maybe it's that the harassment these women are talking about are just comments or jokes that hurt their feelings. You can't just quit a job because your feelings get hurt. The next one says women are underrepresented in government. Although women make up 51% of the U.S. population, only 27% of Congress is comprised of women, which is fortunately or unfortunately making the current Congress the most diverse in American history. Now, I wanted to know how many women are running for office, which shows that 40% of Democratic candidates are female and 20% of Republicans are. Now, that would kind of match up with the numbers they're talking about here. So, I mean, I guess the truth is if you don't run, you can't get elected. This one is women are also the minority in the news media. Women's media reported that the women comprise 41.7% of the overall news media workforce. They aren't being compensated appropriately. Gender pay disparities are still observable in newsrooms of major outlets. Now, there were too many of these excuses about pay gap to mention, but this one specifically says 41.7% of the women in the newsroom are underpaid. But these women fill jobs like receptionists and assistants. I mean, these are low-skilled, low-paid jobs. The next one says, when women enter male-dominated industries, the pay decreases. As women make the crossover into workspaces, mostly occupied by men, often in search of higher salaries and more benefits, the opposite actually happens. The average pay for the industry tends to drop significantly over time. So this one was a real kick in the nuts. I mean, they invade a male-dominated industry and it lowers the pay for everyone. It's insanity. You can't have nothing. This one says female entrepreneurs receive less funding and investment. Getting funding for a startup is hard enough, but sexism and gender inequality often complicating starting one's own business even further. And then it says only 11% of venture capitalists are women, and 71% of the firms don't have a single female partner. Well, these venture capitalists, they're looking to fund sustainable businesses that are highly profitable. They're not looking for cupcake shops or pet groomers. You know, women pick such trendy investments that don't last. This one says women still shoulder more of the household burden. Despite the fact that women are more educated and more employed than ever before, they're still tasked with the majority of the household duties. Now, these numbers, we've mentioned them a bunch of times, but this one says women take 10 times as much temporary leave to be with newborns than men do. Well, I don't know. I mean, I had 2 kids and I didn't take any day off for work. But, you know, I guess these women thought they would all get educations and jobs and the housework would just do itself and someone else was going to raise their kids. And to think that a man gives a shit about this kind of stuff is delusional. This next one is women are more likely to be injured in car crashes. And the reason why is depressing. They found that 47% women are 47% more likely to be injured in car crashes because the safety features were designed for men. And then a new study said women are still much more likely to be injured despite men driving more and exhibiting more recklessness behavior behind the wheel. Women are 3 times as likely to get moderate injury and twice as likely to be severely injured. This underlying cause here was behavior. Men tend to drive larger cars and be the car that struck another vehicle. Now, we drive more and we drive reckless, but they still get hurt in more wrecks than us. It couldn't be because they're terrible drivers, could it? I'm just saying. This one says women overall are at greater risk of rape and domestic violence. This says females ages 24 to 25 to 34, 18 generally experience the highest rates of intimate partner violence. 81% of these women report a significant short or long-term impact such as post-traumatic stress disorder, symptoms, and injury. Now here's another one I don't believe. It says 81% of 18 to 34-year-old women experience PTSD symptoms. But then I read it again, and in parentheses it says, who may have experienced. So what is it? They don't know or they wouldn't say? I mean, it's confusing. Women are so confusing. This one said, women experience medical side effects to a disproportionate degree because drugs are designed for male bodies. Women are often excluded from clinical trials for medication because the unfounded belief that female hormone cycles skew test results. Not only are women excluded from clinical trials during late stages of medical research, but labs go so far as to use male mice instead of female mice during early stages of development. Even our basic understanding of illness and symptoms of disease are based on male philosophy. I mean, I just put this one in here because I thought it was funny. I mean, the scientists are only using male mice. You can't make this shit up. Next one says, despite being as successful as male athletes, women in sports still face gender inequality. Sports coverage found that there was significant difference in the way female athletes in the game were discussed in sports media. Coverage of women's sports say the organization is often dominated by references to appearance, age, or family life. Men are depicted as powerful, independent, dominating, and valued as athletes. Well, why are we still talking about this? I mean, we can argue female intellectual superiority. We can argue female emotional advantages. But athletics are for children. Professional sports are for the best of the best. When women can successfully compete against men in their own game, maybe you'll get some respect. But until then, it's just women's sports. And the last one here says women are woefully undereducated about their own sex bodies, their own bodies and sexuality. The sex education in this country is a disgrace. I, like many Americans, was taught abstinence-only sex education, meaning that there were no discussion about recreational sex or female pleasure, and contraceptives were talked about as an unnatural last resort option that were inferior to total abstinence. Countless reputable sources, included have condemned the sort of education, citing that these tactics violate adolescent human rights, withhold medically accurate information, stigmatize and exclude many youth, reinforce harmful gender stereotypes, and it goes on and on and on. But you know, this is a hot topic right now. The idea of what should be taught to kids. Well, as far as sex education goes, it's important. But things like recreational sex and gender identity should be discussed at home or with a licensed therapist, not a non-binary, overeducated, tax-sucking teacher. Well, anyway, that's all I got. Don't let your excuses keep you from achieving your goals. Blaming others for your shortcomings doesn't build self-confidence. It breeds resentment and failure. It's just my opinion. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.